Okie dokie. I still get all these emails from people like, oh my god, whoops. Oh my god, my camera failed. It's like, it's weather sealed. It's like, yeah. I don't know if you know what the definition of weather sealing means, but it's bullshit. Also, too, all these cameras, they have this interesting feature, weather sealed or not, is this giant hole on the front of the camera. Interesting one. It's like, yeah, but there's a rubber gasket on the end of my favorite lens there. Yeah. As I showed you in the prior video, and I know more about this topic than any of the rest of these dingleberries on YouTube, as someone that's taken apart hundreds of digital cameras and fixed them, yada yada yada, including the camera that was sent to me that was dropped in a creek, Nikon D500, that's filming me right now. I fixed that camera. So I know a little bit about something. Yeah, indeed I do. Let's talk about weather sealing and why it's epic BS. Now, we're not talking about lenses here. Let's just talk about cameras. Right? As I pointed out to you in the prior video, the most fragile thing inside any damn digital camera, I don't care if it's Nikon, Sony, Canon, exactly the same. The most fragile thing in there is the main board. Now, I don't know if you know this or not. Most of you don't, and I should have grabbed a main board out of my drawer over here, is that your card slot, whether it be one or two or whatever, it's soldered on to your main board, and also to the side panel over here, not on this particular camera, that, you know, has the USB charging jacks and the HDMI and all that crap. All that stuff is also soldered on your main board. Now, main board is exactly like the motherboard on your computer, right? It has all the portals and peripherals on there. That's the most fragile part of your camera. Now, you might notice, and you probably can't see it in this video, there's something the camera company knows that you don't know, and I'm pointing out to you right now. There's a rubber gasket. Yeah, right around this door. Now, when a temperature disparity, a lot of these cameras, and this is also the same region. I don't know if you've ever had a pet fish before, and you like have a tank, and you go buy some new pretty fish to stick on your tank. You go down to the fish store, and they stick them in a bag, and they put some oxygen in there, and then they tie the bag off. And if you like come home and you like cut the bag open and dump your fish into the tank, they'll like go into shock, and a lot of the time they'll just die. Yeah, it's like, why? You know, the water is perfectly clean. Yeah, they encountered shock due to temperature fluctuation. Your camera is exactly like the damn fish that you're supposed to acclimate. What you do is you stick the bag with the fishies in them. You don't dump them out. You stick them in your tank, and you let the water temperature in the bag normalize to the temperature in your fishy tank. And then you cut the bag open, and you dump your fishies in. Yeah? Your camera... The reason why these cameras... Why my camera failed? I've had so many emails like this. It's not funny at all. My camera died, but it's weather sealed, and it isn't. I've never had my camera in the rain. It's like, you never had your camera in the rain. So what happens? How many times did you like go outside in a cold day? Yeah, or you went from your cold house to the hot outdoors, or from your normal house to the cold out. Well, yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. Even though your camera has all these interesting gaskets, and usually they're just rubberized gaskets, like on the back of the Nikon D500. Like most cameras, there's this weather sealing gasket. It's literally like foam. It's the same crap they stick around your windows to weather seal it. There's all these neat portals that humidity, you see there's a huge difference between short-term invasive weather, like demonstrable weather, like raindrops. There's a big difference between that and inclement weather and humidity. You know, you can't see humidity, right? Like if it's a really foggy morning or something, you can see that, but what you actually can't see is condensation forming. This is one of the serious flaws, and Sony never admitted to it, and that's why I had all many emails on the Sony a7R II, is that Sony very, very ignorantly, because cameras get hot, right? Especially Sony's. They got a copper heatsink. Now, unlike an intelligent real camera company like Fuji or Nikon or Canon, they stuck the heatsink to the backside of the inside of the magnesium backplate to dissipate the heat, because the cold magnesium chassis was connected to the copper plate, which was connected to the heat from the main board and the sensor, and it would dissipate. But Sony, very stupidly, This is a true story. I got tons of pictures uploaded on Flickr. They stuck the heatsink up too, with holes on it like rabbit ears where the EVF screws in. And so what the camera was doing, it was literally creating this Holland tunnel, inviting the humidity into the camera. Literally, it's a horrible, horrible design flaw. But all cameras are like this, but Sony like magnified it big time. Somebody who has no idea about humidity and temperature disparity, they designed it as like really dumb. And I noticed the A7R3 eliminated out that issue. They separated out the heatsink so there would not be a pathway for condensation to get in extremely easy into the Sony A7R3. Also, too, all these damn camera companies have a serious screw up, and I hate all of them for it. And if I were to have a camera just for like bad weather, the first thing I would do is I'd take off the back plate, and then I would take this bare magnesium, which is what it is, and I would coat it. I would probably use a rubberized coating instead of like a powder coat, which is more difficult to do. Just some fast-drying hard enamel, high gloss, which has low porosity, and I coat the inside of it. A lot of these cameras actually they get condensation they form on the inside of the magnesium housing because since it's metal. What will happen is when you take a camera in and out, and this is why you stick your camera in a big Ziploc bag, you adjust them to the temperature like fishies. Like if you're gonna go outside and like, I don't know, the blowing tundra or whatever, just major temperature fluctuation. You stick your camera in a big Ziploc bag and you let it adjust to the temperature of what you're going to be shooting in. Yeah? Anyway, the magnesium oxide forms on the back of this from humidity, and then it sloughs off into the main board. Every damn camera is the same. The main board is almost kissing the inside of this bare magnesium. If the assholes at all these stupid camera companies would coat the inside the same way they do the outside, which would take them extra 5 seconds or 2 seconds and an extra penny, they would not have this issue. The amount of camera failures would go down big time. This is a huge, huge issue. I mean, it's a serious issue. I've seen a lot of humidity sloughing of the magnesium, and what it does is it takes a crap right on the main board because the main board rests right up against the back of the inside of this bare magnesium. This is from a Nikon D500, by the way. All these companies are assholes for doing that. They are all of them assholes. But there's a huge difference between short-term invasive and long-term pervasive, which is humidity. All these cameras are not failing that are weather sealed, because that weather sealing is BS. If you're going to take a camera out into adverse weather conditions, even though this one has a gasket around the card door, every camera, this one doesn't have a huge side panel like most cameras do, where you got the HDMI and USB, blah, blah, blah. Literally, this is an immediate direct pathway to the main board. The most sensitive part of the inside of any digital camera is the main board. Period. The sensor is hermetically sealed. The shutter mech, no problem. The mirror mech of DSLRs, all the humidity all day long. I've never seen one seize up due to weather issues. They don't. They have clockworks just like a cuckoo clock. Humidity, no problem, all day long. No issues. I've actually never ever seen or even heard of a humidity or weather-related mirror mech screw-up on a Canon or a Nikon. That tells you a lot, okay? There's a lot more parts inside of a DSLR, but the mirror mech itself and the clockwork timing for it has been perfected over many, many decades. It's not an issue anymore. It is an issue for autofocus problems, but that's something else. That's not a failure. That's just an inherent design difference over that of mirrorless and contrast detect autofocus, since you're actually doing sensor level autofocusing instead of bouncing the light off of the secondary mirror. But your camera should be treated just like fish from the pet store. You don't like dump them in the water. You stick them in a big ass Ziploc bag and let them adjust. And then you want to have these, well, my camera's weather sealed. Don't care. All these so-called weather sealed cameras are not really weather sealed. That's why I laugh every day. My weather sealing. It's bullshit. Also, weather sealing causes another issue. What it does is it causes false hope in people that don't know how these cameras actually. Well, my camera's weather sealed. You know, that means I could take it out in some shitty weather. No, it doesn't. No, you're deluded. My camera's weather sealed. I'm gonna go out in this rainstorm. No, you're not. This is also too what everybody says. Like, I just had my camera out in a bad storm 2 weeks ago, and it's still working fast. Like, wait. Corrosion creeps really, really slow. Kind of is like your fingernails. It's like you can sit there and stare at your fingernails all day long and you'll never see them grow. But if you give them a month, oh my God, you know, you're able to shut your eyes for a month and, oh my God, my fingernails. Same thing happens with corrosion inside of a camera. 95% of cameras that are not dropped, you know, and other crazy crap that fail is due to corrosion on the main board. It's the demonstrable 90 plus percentile reason for camera failure, main board failure, because it is the most sensitive part of your camera. Every digital camera is the same crap. It's a sensor, a shutter mech. Let's just talk about a mirrorless camera. Let's leave out the mirror mech, which never fails. A sensor, a shutter mech, and a main board, an LCD, and possibly an EVF if it's a mirrorless camera. EVF is hermetically sealed also. LCDs, unless you drop them like this, you know, like, you never have to worry about LCDs failing. You don't. Nobody makes videos on this. The most sensitive part of your camera is that damn main board. And those side doors on each and every damn camera, but here and here, it is a direct window, and it's where humidity creeps in. You know? Right here. I could spit in the side. If I could take these cards out and spit, I would hit the main board. It's that exposed. These SD card assemblies that all these camera companies actually get them from another company. There's actually two main suppliers of them. They solder them onto the main board. Yeah, you could spit into the side of it, which you wouldn't want to do, of course. And you could hit the main board. It's that easy to get to. So, yeah, my camera's weather sealed. It's sealed up here. And it's sealed back here. It's like, you're right, it is. But that's not where your camera's going to fail. You know, I can take it on the rainstorm, and there's gaskets here and here and here. It's like, you're right. But that's not where these cameras fail. They fail due to humidity caused long-term pervasive corrosion. Yeah? That's where they fail. They don't fail because, look, I'm going to sprinkle some raindrops on the top of my camera. It's okay. You're right. But that's not where the camera will fail. My camera's weather sealed. Like, no, it's not. No camera's weather sealed. The only true weather sealed camera is if you were to buy an underwater housing. I'm going to go shoot in a hurricane. Take some pictures. Buy an underwater housing for your camera, whatever make or model that is, and then go take some pictures with the underwater housing, which even once you stick the camera in there, some of the really fancy ones, they even have a pressure seal like a Pelican case. You go, and it will actually decrease the pressure inside the box. Yeah, nice. And then your camera that's this size will turn into this size. And then you will have a real, actual, true life weather sealed camera. Every other camera that's not in an underwater housing is not weather sealed. And if you believe it is, you're smoking unicorn farts. Period. Said the guy that's taken apart hundreds of cameras and fixed a bunch of them, which is a lot more than I could say for the rest of these YouTubers. Yeah. Owned. Wait a minute. Wait. I gotta do that one over. I screwed up that first one pretty good. Oh well, I'll edit that out of this video. Thank you. I hope you like these videos. If you click the link below and tell me how much you hate me. You know? But the key takeaway factor here is I'm right.